So, mate, we're back.
Back for round 2.
Yeah, so this is Aveste Origins number 2. We should explain to people that we're calling it Aveste Origins because we haven't even explained that. So why are we calling it Aveste Origins?
It didn't take us too long to actually decide on Aveste Origins. We'd actually come up with a name a while ago, but we'd never really decided that was what it was going to be. But the reason is we want to speak to people that are at the start of their journey, very much like us, and bring that to a podcast audience, as opposed to people that have completed the game, let's say.
Thank you to everyone that watched the first podcast. We are massively grateful. We've had some amazing feedback. People have been lovely.
They've been kinder than we thought they would be.
yeah. Considering we're just two lads chatting shit, they've been incredibly nice. So yeah, we very much appreciate that. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. The interesting chat that we've got for you today is very much in the spirit of Origins, in that we're going to be talking about our origin story and what a lot of people's origin story is about going to university and whether you should or whether you shouldn't. And I think that's a very interesting debate that we want to have, because it's a decision that so many people very much fret about when they are, a young kid, a young teenager, thinking, should I go to university? It's a load of debt to get into. And we're gonna dive right into that, aren't we, mate?
Yeah, we're going to go through all of the reasons that people go to university and, almost critically analyse them. And then come to a verdict at the end.
We should give some context. So, did we go to university is the first question. So, did you go to university, Jake?
Well, I wouldn't know you if we didn't go to university. Josh and I met at university in Nottingham, in Broadgate Park Halls. I went to university, studied mathematics. Would not do that again, but that can be another podcast. Studied mathematics, failed my second year, ended up at a different university in Nottingham. And all kind of worked itself out in the end. So I did go to university. How about you?
Yes, I also did go to university, as you very kindly introduced. And I studied English and creative writing, which the second part adds so much more interest than the first part.
And it's worth noting as well, we're incredibly lucky to go to university.
Yeah,
I was the first in my family to go to university. People talk about that, don't they? So I was the first in my family. So very grateful for the experience and to be able to live in a society where university's funded for you.
Yeah. Well, funded for us.
Well, we'll talk about funding in a bit, right? So that's, a bit of background on both of us so that we sound like we know what we're talking about, which we don't. No. I think we should just dive straight in then to this debate of should you go to university?
Yeah, let's get right into it. So we were talking the other day and we were effectively thinking, what are the main reasons that people go to uni?
The 4 reasons that we kind of thought of, and I'm sure there's more, is number 1 is to get a good job or career prospects. Number 2 is around the life experience and the independence that comes from going to university. Number 3 was because you love a subject. And then number 4 was because it's just what people do when they leave school.
Yeah.
And it delays being an adult in some ways.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a 4.5. But yeah, delaying being an adult is something we should definitely get into as well. So yeah, should we go one by one and look into it? So I think number 1 is probably the key reason, right? To get a good job.
Definitely.
And there are certain jobs that you'd say are necessary to go to university.
Yeah, off the top of my head, those are things like doctors, engineers, teachers, nurses, that kind of stuff. They won't let you through the front door if you've not done your professional experience of a university, and then often more study as well when you actually get into the job. Lawyers as well, right?
Yeah. So that is a prerequisite, and actually university in that instance is your golden ticket to go and get a job. You couldn't really do an apprenticeship in becoming a surgeon.
Yeah, exactly. They won't let you in. There's trodden paths for being a doctor, and you have to follow that path.
Yeah.
So when we speak about should you go to uni, there's definitely segments of people. This is not a generalised chat for everyone. So we're saying for people that want to go into those kind of professions, going to university to get a job is definitely relevant.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you want to talk about just people that think, I'm going to do maths and therefore I'm going to get a good job, or I'm going to do history and then I'm going to get a good job, because it's not a golden ticket to a good job.
No, 100%. Let's get into that now. So the question was, how many jobs did you have to apply for? Like, so we both did a sort of, I would say, a fairly general degree. I mean, maths is quite specialised in itself, but it's a general. It doesn't give you any prerequisite knowledge to get a job when you go out
Yeah,
of
of course.
It doesn't give you anything. So we both did a general degree. I applied for 100+ jobs when I left university, and I actually didn't get any of those jobs that I applied for. The only reason why I got my first job was because I banged down the door and just went to the office and said to someone, here's my CV, hire me.
Wow, I think I was 65 applications before I got my first job.
Yeah.
So it's not the golden ticket that it once was.
No.
Going to university 40 years ago, when it was 1, free to go, and 2, not as many people went, then it was a bit of a golden ticket to a job very, very quickly. But now it's not. Employers are looking for you to have skills, right? And often when you turn up as a graduate, you don't have many skills. You don't even know how to navigate an office environment, for example.
No, I remember that first day, one being completely overdressed for a job, and everyone fucking laughing.
We
at
all
you.
did that.
Yeah.
Tie, suit.
Full suit. Yeah, absolutely horrendous. And then sort of going in there, and I think it's a shame with a lot of red brick universities and universities in general. It does breed a sense of entitlement to get a job, and then also to sort of think that you've got the skills to justify it. I remember, like, my first job was in advertising, and I remember just thinking, like, I can do this. I've got a degree, I can get a job. And really, there's no prerequisite knowledge I had at all about the industry that I was going into. So no wonder it was so difficult to get something.
Yeah, people are taking a punt on you a little bit, aren't they? They go, look, they've done a degree. Clearly they're, kind of smart and can write or build an argument, but they have no transferable skills. Well, they have no applicable skills to the job currently.
Yeah.
So they kind of, employers are taking a bit of a bet on your future and your capability.
Yeah. So how did you, when you were transitioning from university into a job, how did you show your intelligence or aptitude in the job that you ended up taking?
In the interview?
Yeah.
He just asked some questions. Like, he asked a mathsy question that, those typical interview questions where they don't expect you to get the right answer, but they expect you to tell you how you got to that. It'd be something stupid like, how many doors are there in the UK? Something like that. So I turned up and managed to get that on my 65th application. It's interesting because you turn up as well, and there's often graduates are even behind apprentices now, right?
Yeah.
Because if say you left, and actually we should talk about apprenticeships because I think they're fantastic.
In terms of looking at an apprenticeship experience versus a graduate experience, and I know people that literally did this at my first ever job in advertising. They had 3 years of experience within the chosen fields. And yes, when they started, they probably had the same amount of knowledge as when I started. But that means they had 3 years of experience going in and being far more advanced than I was. So, I think there are quite a few roles now that if you went in when you were 18 and you put in the hard graft and you foregoed the experience of university and everything that brings, you could be way more advanced in your career. There are so many fields that you could get that experience in doing, and you don't have the debt, and you've got 3 more years of money in your back pocket, which in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at, when people buy their first homes now, I read somewhere a while ago that it was like the average homeowner is now 40 before they can buy their own home, right? Which is a really crazy stat. So effectively, with a university degree, you've got a mortgage before you've got a mortgage.
Yep.
You're in debt before you even go there. I mean, the stats that we have in front of us is like 45 grand of debt that you leave university with. And an apprentice wouldn't have any of that debt, and they'd actually have some savings.
Totally.
Now, when you first get an apprenticeship, you're not earning a crazy wage.
No.
And therefore your ability to save is also quite difficult. But you're probably living at home. You're probably able to therefore save some money that what you can do. And then you can build your life from there. You're not effectively, the way that I look at it now is when you're a graduate, you're starting not only from an experience deficit but also a monetary deficit.
Totally with you. So in terms of uni, getting a good job, there is a value equation to be kind of had here, which is your financial investment of your student loan, the 3 years of the opportunity cost of the 3 years where you're not earning money as well, it's probably actually adds up to like, not far short of 100K, right? So there's definitely a value equation to consider here when you consider the output of university versus the finance that goes into it, right? And I think only 20% of graduates will fully pay off their student loan now because it's £9,000 fees.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, now it's so much more expensive, and it's not a golden ticket to getting a good job. There is definitely more of a value judgment to be made when you're considering go to university than there was maybe 40 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember the advice when we were growing up was very much, if you don't go to university, you're not going to get a good job, and therefore you're not going to be earning the money you want to. So it was almost like you have to, if you want to be successful and you want to earn a lot of money, it was almost like go to university, otherwise you're going to be stuck. And I think what I wish I had was a couple of, sort of
Mentors.
older heads that were sort of going, do you know what? This isn't the only way to do it. And even if I'd had that, maybe I still would have gone to university.
Yep.
But at least I would have been more informed of the decision when I went into it. I don't remember a lot of people telling me about the level of debt that you get into. And again, we're really lucky. We were on the lower rate than what a lot of people are on now. But still, even now, there are people that we know and are very close to us that may never be able to pay that debt off, even at the lower rate.
University was the only way to get a good job. That was the narrative in the past. We know that not to be true now, right?
Yep.
There's so much information and courses available on the internet. Information has been completely democratized now. For 40 years ago, universities used to have all the information. Now the internet has all the information. So
100%.
if you want to train yourself in something like, I don't know, Adobe Photoshop or coding or whatever it might be, there are ways for you to obtain skills now that are directly applicable to jobs without going to university. So I don't think it's always necessary now.
100%. And I think if I was looking at, if we were looking for employees for Aveste and I was looking to hire someone, I would very much look for someone that was a self-learner. And I think any employer wouldn't be turned off by that sort of prospect of someone that was out there learning for themselves. And I would rather have that than a university degree on their CV. If they had proven that they have capability across a wide range of skills. For example, you talk about getting a marketeer in potentially for Aveste, right? I'd rather they have an ability to edit videos, an ability to do Photoshop, an ability to run ads, an ability to film them, ability to run all the platforms.
And they've done it. They've actually done it. They've not just read about it.
No.
They've actually done it.
They've
got a little portfolio they can show you.
Yeah. And I think that the codification of those skills now goes beyond what a degree can do, right? And I think that will only develop as the years sort of go on. Is that rather than having a traditional CV, which is just a written CV with your degree on it and that's it, it would be more like I've learnt this skill by doing this course off my own back. And do you know what? That can be a Skillshare course. There's no again, it could be a Skillshare course. It can be a YouTube course. It could be anything. There's so many channels for learning these days. And again, I would much rather have that than a 2-1 in a generalist degree from a Red Brick University, because really, unless you're doing those degrees that we mentioned, what tangible skills do you have?
So university, not the golden pass it was.
No, 100% not.
And employers are changing what they want from people as well. Cool.
So reason number 2 that you should go to university is the life experience, which we feel quite passionately about as being one of the key virtues of going to university, would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You go to university, a lot of people, it's the first time leaving home, independence, cooking your own food, living with people that aren't your family. I'm speaking for people that leave home and go to university. Not everyone does. Some people stay at home. I would fully recommend leaving home if you can, if you don't have, dependents at home or whatever. Going away and the experience that comes with university, the people you meet, the changes in your cultural tastes, music, art, whatever, it's an invaluable experience, which currently really only I guess university or traveling might offer you. Yeah,
100%. And I feel that the value of my friends that I've gained from uni is worth just
the money.
That is worth the money. And again, I don't think people would say that, would they? I don't think when you're looking at your campus and you're talking with your UCAS advisor, I don't think they would necessarily say, do you know what, the key value of this, don't worry about the degree. Don't worry even about what you get. Just have a great time, meet some amazing people.
Yeah.
That's a huge value.
Yeah, create some great memories, some great stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people might be looking at that and going, "Oh, is that really worth it?" But I can't see it.
Is it worth 45 grand?
Is it worth 45 grand? And that's the value judgment people have to make, I guess. But it was great. We had a great time at uni. We were very lucky.
We did. And do you know what? What other period of your life where you can effectively have 3 years to just chill? You know, because I think, you know, look, obviously different degrees have a different level of work, and we had plenty of friends that were working very hard and doing 9 to 5 learning, right? And I fell for them because that was certainly not the experience that I had at university, and a lot of people have at university, right? But because the majority of people are sort of, I wouldn't say coasting. I don't think you can coast for uni, but you're definitely. I worked way harder at A levels, way harder. And I think a lot of people have that similar experience. So if you can have 3 years where you are just effectively doing what you need to do to go through it, but then also having a freaking great time, then it's almost like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
Why not just put adulthood on postponement for, 3 years? You've got the rest of your life to go to work.
You do.
Like, even if you graduate at 25, right?
Yeah.
You still got another 40 years to go to work. And yes, you're going to be behind the conveyor belt of life, and you might have a house and kids and all the rest of it later than other people. But no, life is short and life is for living. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Do you think that you could have had the experience you had at university by just going travelling for a shorter amount of time and not losing those 3 years, for example?
Yeah, you could have lived somewhere, worked in a place that had lots of young people and had a kind of similar experience, I reckon, yeah.
And again, we should say, being able to go travelling is 100% a huge privilege, right? Of
course it is.
Being able, and to your credit though, you saved up.
Yeah, I went after university, like 3 years afterwards, something like that.
So you did it in a weird way, well, slightly atypical way, in that you got a job, you saved up some money, and then you went travelling. And how long did you go for?
5 months.
5 months, so a significant period of time, right? So I suppose, is that a debate to have? It go travelling for let's say 2 or 3 months, so people don't have to invest as much money, but still have that 2 or 3 months of a great time and no requirement on learning. Just have a great time.
Yeah, because that's what I think people want, that fun and that good time. So travel straight after school is one way of doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of apprenticeships now as well have like big pools of people in like a class. So there might be 100 of you. I know the BT one is massive, and all of those guys know each other and grew up knowing each other. I know they didn't live in like university halls or anything like that, but they kind of got a similar experience in one sense, in that they go out together and stuff like that. So it's not quite university, but similar. So yeah, I guess what we'd love to see is how could you replicate that university experience in an apprenticeship environment?
It would be so difficult to do it, and also the whole system would have to change. But we both agreed that having something where you could have lots of different graduates, all of a similar age and life experience, being able to have a bit of fun. We discussed it. We were saying maybe it's a day off, so it's you work 4 days a week, you get paid for 4 days a week.
Yeah.
But that last day is you either having a great time or able to build some other skills in another way, doing something a bit more generalist or whatever, doing some self-learning or just saying suck it off and have a day where you just go and enjoy yourself, play some sport. So you still have an element of the not the university experience, but I suppose like the personal growth experience during that period that you would be at uni, but you're still contributing to society. You're still earning money for yourself, learning skills, and doing something slightly different from like full-time learning. Which again, like, is that I look at the model now and I just think, is that model going to be perpetual? Is that going to carry on going? Because again, like taking that amount of time is scary. So yes, to finish on that point, life experience, gaining something from university, getting friends, chilling out, having a good set of nightlife experience, playing sport is hugely valuable, and is one of the key reasons I would say to anyone now, go to university.
Totally.
Yeah. So beyond that, the next one that we were discussing is because you love a subject.
Yeah. Right? And I would say there's probably not loads of people that fall into that bucket.
Yeah.
Especially not when you're 18. if I went to uni now, I wouldn't pick the same thing that
No.
I did back then.
What would you pick?
I'd pick psychology now because I find it so fascinating.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was 18, I just picked maths because I was good at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the love of the subject, I think is a wonderful reason to go to university.
I don't think the system of doing one subject is smart, to be honest with you.
Totally.
Because again, I would love to know. We don't have the figures. I'd love to know. Maybe we can discuss this in the comments. But how many people know what exactly they want to do by the time they get to university? There are incredibly valuable degrees, like a business degree, that doesn't necessarily set you up for a particular vocation. Really, does it?
No.
I
think, studying anything for 40 hours a week as well will absolutely drive you insane with it as well. So your idea about studying maybe lots of little things, maybe a year of each thing, I think that's way better than going all in on one subject and then by the second year you're pulling your hair out and you hate it.
Yeah, because the American system, they do majors and minors, don't they? They have they study various subjects. You could even split it more than that. You could even just do
6 months.
6 months, or like every week you're doing something slightly different, and then you build towards an overall course within a particular field.
Yeah, you need to taste stuff. At the age of 18, going all in on one subject is quite a big commitment and something 90% of people probably don't get it right, don't pick the thing that they are interested in. So let people taste more stuff.
Why is it not the first year you do something that's completely general and you force even people that they know exactly what they want to do, even a doctor, they'd go, right, try and do something else? Because again, a couple of people that I know that are studying to be doctors, they've just graduated, they're now working in the system and going, freaking hell, like this is tough, like the system is, the NHS is really struggling, and it's gutting to see what they've done to the NHS. But they get in the job and they go, do you know what, maybe I could have done something else, like maybe this isn't for me.
Maybe I'd have loved something else more, but we're forced to go all in on it. If I'd done maybe a month of like, what does a doctor course look like, a month of engineering, month of coding, a month of maths, I might have gone, do you know what, I really enjoyed the doctor bit, let's go all in on that. Now I've actually tasted what it's like at uni, because as we know, uni's very different to A levels as well.
And do you know what, you could still get into the university that you wanted to get into via your grades and still have to pass that, right? Still prove that your intelligence, which is another debate to have, right? About whether A levels actually prove your intelligence. But if you can do that and go there and say, right, I deserve to be at this university because I've got this certain aptitude, but then still have a wide range of subjects, and then after year one, then you can specialize, because then you're a year older. You have a year more experience. You're also in the university setting already. You've also had the education from a university setting to go, this is for me or this isn't for me, and go from there. That would have
tasting year, we'll call it. And you'd probably get less dropouts as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, for people that love a subject, especially once you're a postgrad and that, beautiful reason to go to university and become as informed as you can about a subject that you love. Wonderful reason.
Yeah, and then the last reason, other than to delay being an adult, or is that the final reason in your mind?
To delay being an adult, or because it's the conveyor belt of 21st century life in the UK. They kind of blend together.
Is that so?
Is that a reason?
Effectively, your point is that because everyone tells you to do it, and because that's the sort of way that people are judging CVs these days, that you've just got to continue with that system, effectively, right?
Yeah, people don't know what else to do. It seems maybe like the trodden path, so to speak. So. Yeah, that is a reason people probably do go to uni.
And there are 100% managers and people that hire people out there right now that would look at a degree and that would be the pass to get you into the job. But saying that, I have to say, I don't think that's the case after your first job, personally.
Oh yeah, no.
I think
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think after that, then it was. I remember like looking and thinking, oh my god, my GCSEs are on there, or your A levels are on there. Do you know what I mean? And thinking, as your CV develops, you're like, right, that thing drops out. Like GCSEs drop out, then your A levels drop out, then your uni drops out, then your first job drops out, and it's then some of your experiences. And it is funny because I remember I was definitely not told that. I was definitely not told that when we were growing up. Like, people were like, your GCSEs are going to be on your CV for the rest of your life. If you don't get good grades, that people will remember those, and it will show your aptitude for the rest of your life.
What a load of rubbish that was.
What a load of rubbish.
Because they wanted you to try, that's why.
Yeah.
And then it's like, as you say, it drops off at each increment.
Yeah. I always do it. If it was a brother or sister of mine, what would I advise them now? And like, I would 100% say, work hard. Like, working hard is a skill. Right, so if you can prove yourself as working hard, get good grades, there's nothing bad in the world about getting good grades, right? No. But what I would also say is there's so much more to life than that A star in that particular subject or that B in that particular subject, right? So there's so much more you can do. So I would almost be going, if it was my brother or sister, I'd be going, right, get as many experiences as you can, as long as they're positive. Do you know what I mean? As long as they're valuable in some way.
And taste stuff as well.
You know, there's learning to be found from going rock climbing. There's learning to be found from, I don't know, watching a YouTube video about how to edit a video. Yeah. There's value in even watching a YouTube video, I don't know, about the history of the monarchs, right? I don't know. There's some value in that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like you can have a debate or a chat with someone about who was the king, 1,000 years ago. That is still interesting. That makes you a more rounded person without necessarily having to do a history degree.
Totally, mate.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Other reasons, travel and study abroad. Something you don't get to do outside of university if you want to travel and study. It's a good reason to go.
Yeah, again, cost prohibitive.
You've got to weigh up the cost again, haven't you? If you just want to travel, could you, the flip side is maybe don't go to uni, do an apprenticeship, and then actually travel and not have to study as well. If you're only just studying because you want to travel as well, then it comes back to the same argument of, are you just picking something because you don't really know what else to do? And then the idea of traveling thrown on just makes it a little bit more enticing.
I just think the value of going traveling and not having to worry about whether you're learning or not, you'd learn. Well, exactly. Like look at you. Go there. You go to South America. You basically learn another language
because I wanted to.
Because you wanted to, but then also that's far more valuable than you going and studying in Bogota University. Spanish, isn't it? Like you went there and you actually learnt off your own back. If I was advising people, I would go, look, if you want to go traveling and you want to see the world and gain some experiences, make sure you've got enough money to actually really enjoy it, first of all, because you don't want to be coming home and like being skint and coming home because you've run out of cash. Save up some money and then go and just enjoy it. And do you know what? Like the learning experience of going out there and actually, really getting to grips with the culture, really learning something off your own back and not having to do that in a formal setting, personally is more valuable than going and studying.
We're probably being quite biased, aren't we, towards not university? Would you say so far? Or
I don't know. Like I think that there are so many reasons to do it.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
I think there are so many reasons. I think the thing that really gets me at the moment and I find really tough is there's so many people that 45 grand is such a load of money. And I think even if you're earning 90, 100 grand a year, which, less than 3% probably of the population are ever going to get to that point, right? Even then, 9% of your income for a period of time is still a horrible amount of money, let alone when you're struggling to get by as a graduate, which I certainly was. I remember when I was growing up and you were. So the problem for me is that clouds every judgment. If it was like it was 40 years ago and you're going for free, or even when it's our level, I think even our level was an easier decision to make. It was less of a gamble. But now, like, that level of debt is a scary amount of debt, isn't it? Yeah,
and just to clarify, for anyone that goes to uni now, they'll pay 9% over anything they earn over 20-something grand. Yeah, and for those that don't pay it off, it'll be for 25 years, essentially. So it's a 9% tax for 25 years.
Yeah.
And we've not seen what that costs people yet because we've not had 9 grand fees for long enough. So we'll see what that actually nets out as the total amount that people end up paying. Just do a few positives.
Let's do a few positives, okay, right? Because there are so many positives. We've talked about a couple of them, but again, I think looking at the data side of it, right, a graduate does earn more money than a non-graduate
on average.
On average, and I think that's different from an apprentice per se, because an apprentice is slightly different.
Yeah.
But it's 10 grand less. That's what the average salary is across the board, right? It's between 16 and 64-year-olds.
Okay.
If you went to university or whether you didn't go to university, it's a 10 grand difference, and that's from Gov UK, so it's a reputable source. I mean, is Gov UK biased towards getting people to universities? I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay. So that's one key reason. I think the experience is another key reason. Yeah. And also, I would say things like we love the sports element of it. Yeah. And I think general societies in general are also really good. If we're talking about other learning and other experiences, you can get loads of other experiences at uni. I always had a chuckle when I saw the Quidditch team playing. I found that very interesting. But again, that's a great group of people, and it's a fun little activity, especially if you love Harry Potter.
You have a social afterwards. You come together. You meet other societies. The societal element of university and the sporting element. Yeah, awesome. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have met otherwise.
And then also there are so many other activities that we wouldn't otherwise have been able to do.
A lot of it's funded by the universities. Like,
Exactly.
you get stuff really subsidised that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
And I suppose the other side of it is if you're really into academia, like if you do want to go and be
A researcher.
a researcher or a lecturer within the university environment, again, that's not an inconsequential
No.
value. That we need more academics.
Of course.
Is there anything else that we can think of that are real pros? We said getting away from home. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I think again that's belittled in its own value, right? Getting away from your folks, if you're lucky enough to do that, and really learning to live by yourself is an experience that you wouldn't really be able to get as an apprentice.
Yeah.
If you're an apprentice, you're more likely than not going to be living at home still.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you'll learn how to cook for yourself, clean for yourself, pay your bills,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. For most people, they won't have done that throughout their kind of child life.
Yeah. So I think those are probably the pros.
Yeah, I think we can probably reach a verdict now.
Okay.
And we'd probably need to split the verdict into different segments of people, because there's no right answer for each person. Everyone's situation is different, but I think there's a couple of key groups, which are, one, the academics, or the people for whom a degree is the golden ticket to their job, like lawyers and teachers and all the rest of it. You have to go to university. There is no other way for you to get through the door of your profession. So by default, you have to go, really. So
Yeah.
do we recommend uni to you? Yes, if you want that job.
Yeah, 100%.
For anyone that knows that they want to get a job, they don't know what in, they've picked a subject at school that they kind of like, they can acquire skills for a job without it. They are going to be in 45 grand of debt plus 3 years opportunity cost of not earning. They won't necessarily get the university experience. I think it's a really tough call, because you're almost putting the cost is all on the university experience. If you're saying that all the other stuff's not important, you're almost boiling it down to, is the cost purely worth solely the university experience?
If you're advising someone listening or someone that you really cared about,
Yep.
and they said, look, I really want to do a geography and business degree.
Yep.
And I don't know what I want to do after.
Yep.
I honestly have no idea.
Okay. So there's a third group now. There's a group of people for whom, say, they want to be a business owner, or they know that they want to be a coder or a developer, right? But they're going to go to uni anyway. I would say, actually, no. You know what you want to do already. There's ways of you acquiring those skills without going to university. And in fact, university might actually slow you down in acquiring those skills.
Yeah.
So for those people, I'd say don't go to university, because you're paying 45 grand for purely the getting away from home and having a great experience. For the people in the middle pot, then that's the hard one, isn't it? For the people that don't know what they want to do and don't know what subject they want to pick, what would we advise those guys?
My personal advice would be you can go and get a job and have various different jobs and gain more experience than you would do by doing those, less debt
Sure.
than you would do by doing a generalist degree. A generalist degree doesn't give you the answer at the end of it.
No.
It's the opposite.
But it gives you 3 great years and you meet loads of great friends.
Yeah,
So-
but it's I suppose we're going into it as like, do you look at it from a job perspective? Do you look at it from a life experience perspective? Because again, we answered that question. You could go and get a job, save up money,
Of course,
go
yeah.
and go traveling and have a really good formative experience
Yeah.
in that perspective. You definitely don't get 3 years, and you definitely
No.
would have to work really hard. Look, my personal perspective is if you're in that middle group
Yeah.
and you're a generalist and you don't know, you don't really know what subject you want to do, and
Yeah.
2, you don't really know what you want to do after it.
Yeah.
I would go and taste some jobs, like just go
Yeah.
and find something,
Throw travelling in there as well.
throw traveling in.
And that'll give you a good all-round experience.
Yeah, and go and do like as many jobs as you can. Like try and get something where you're like 6 months in one job, 6 months in the other.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just taste as much as you can, because again, all of my best experiences were based on just like trying something, see if it worked. Did I enjoy it? Yes, no, I didn't. Then move on. Try and find something. Again, you've got to be lucky to be able to get the jobs in the first place.
Okay, so I'm gonna finish with my head says don't go to uni, but my heart says do go to uni. For those people in the middle.
I love that. That's so
and
nice.
that's as definitive as I can give you.
That's so nice. Well, yeah, look, the experience, and to anyone at university now, just bloody enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, just enjoy that experience.
It goes quicker than you can imagine.
And forget the money. The money is fictional. Do you know what I mean? Like, when we actually boil it down, right, is the money actually money? No,
one's
because
going to come and knock at your door.
And then also, majority of people don't even pay it off anyway. So, you know.
Is it debt really?
Is someone going to come and get it? No, like you say.
Someone going to take your telly away? No.
So in the grand scheme of things, if that's the life you want to live and you want to have 3 years of a great time, just do it. What I think we could finish off with: do we personally regret the decision?
Absolutely not.
So you say absolutely not. I say no because of the experiences that we had and because of the friends that we've got. But I would do things so differently.
Would you have done a different subject?
I would have done a different subject. I would have done different A levels, and I would have tried to do things differently. I probably would have tried to soak up more societies and done a few more things. And then I also wish I could do a subject that was as little intensity as the subject I did, so I could try and learn other things as well.
Yeah, because I mean, universities offer things like if you want to learn a language, they'll offer you that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was more we could have thrown ourselves in. We could have got more bang for our buck.
But the universities have got to give people the right to go, look, if you want to do an 8-week course on web development, like here you go, and like no strings attached. Like, we're not going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you don't have to have this prerequisite to get in there. You've got into the university, and just try things. Because again, like, surely more kids would, like, if you said like, look, let's sack off this module in X or Y
in linear algebra, study web development,
because I mean that has a practical practical benefit. So look, I think there are things that individuals can do better before they get to university to maximize the experience. I think there are things that the universities can do better, and I also think there's a stage pre-university where people that are lucky enough to go should have some better advice, where they're literally just like, look, this isn't a golden ticket anymore. And also, like, this is what you should be doing slightly differently. Like, try and get some experience elsewhere.
You don't know what you don't know when you're 18, and it's a big decision to make as a naive 18-year-old. I thought I knew everything when I was 18.
100%.
But yeah, it'd be lovely to be able to tap your younger self on the shoulder now and just have a word with them, wouldn't it? Knowing everything you know right now. But
I know
that is sadly not possible.
I don't even think an hour-long podcast would be enough for me to have a chat with my younger self. Can we send this
back in time?
It would be bloody useful. Yeah, I would say that's a really interesting podcast, and we really appreciate everyone listening. Thank you to everyone that subscribed last time. We got up to 11 subscribers.
Did we?
Yeah.
Wow.
On YouTube. We've got loads of views on Spotify, loads of views on Apple Podcasts as well. So thank you so much to everyone that has watched or listened. We really, really appreciate it. And if you have got this far, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you loved it, leave a review as well. And also, before we go, I want to ask people a question. You know, if you did go to university, do you regret it? And would you have done something differently? And if you are thinking about going to university and you listen to this now, what do you think? Has this helped? And like, do you still want to go?
Yeah, we'd love to get some discussion going. So throw your comments in.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. All right. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.